It's like people literally don't think disabled people exist and are out and about regularly and could show up at any time. And for me, I'm getting heated now because it really feels like entitlement, like disabled people won't be in these wealthy environments. Hello, and welcome to another Molly Rambles. At this point, this truly could have just been a podcast, like just all these videos of me rambling. But it's not. It's a pretend podcast. It feels like a podcast, but it is simply but a YouTube video. Oh man, I have so many feelings. I have so many thoughts. And I come to you for your opinion and your thoughts. I've said this so many times on this channel over the last decade that I've been making content from 20 to 30. I feel like you guys have given me the grace and the understanding to grow and to learn with you. And I feel like I have learned as much from you as I hope you've learned from me. I am just one person with one lived experience, although I've been deeply involved in the disability community pretty much my entire life. And although many of my friends have all different forms of disabilities, and I am very aware of their experiences. I consume a lot of content by other disabled people. I like to think that I'm, at least at this point, pretty aware of not just my own self, my needs, but the community at large. And I am not, none of my work is to self-serve. My work is to hopefully uplift the community as a whole as much as possible. But I don't always have all the answers. I always tell you guys, like, I'm not coming here telling you that I'm right and you should believe what I'm telling you. I come here to say this is my opinion, my perspective, how I'm feeling about something based on my lived experiences. But I want to know what you guys think. And this is honestly a topic I feel like super conflicted about, pretty lost on, and I just want to have a conversation about it. Okay, so disability parking. I had disability parking growing up with my family. And then since moving to the US, I haven't had it because we didn't have a car. But my boyfriend has a car. We live together. And compared to the area that I used to live in, we use a car a lot more here. It's not quite as walkable as my old neighborhood. So it makes a lot of sense and it's very useful and helpful to have a car. And so once we moved in together and I was in his car pretty much daily, I was getting my California state ID. And I was like, well, I'm here. I might as well get my disability parking. My doctor had already like filled out the form for me. It was like easy peasy. It was actually really funny. My doctor, I like asked her about it. She's like, why do you need one again? And I was like, I'm blind. And she was like, oh, right. And I was like, did you read my case? I'm so confused. It's really funny. Granted, I feel like I've only seen her in person once, like 4 years ago. Like, I have all of my stuff with her virtually where I'm like sitting in bed and you wouldn't necessarily know, but I'm like, shouldn't you know that as my doctor? Anyways, besides the point, I thought it was very funny. Um, so I got it, learned the laws about what it's like what the laws are here, because they differ from Ontario, where I had my past growing up. And we, have been utilizing it. And I honestly, I don't know if this has always been a problem here or if it's just becoming a problem. I don't know because, like I said, I only had a disability parking pass for 6 months in California. So it's pretty new to me to have one here. And the audacity, I am just astonished. At other people. I don't know. And this is the nuance. This is where it gets tricky, and this is where I feel so emotionally conflicted. I am a give people the benefit of the doubt person. I am an extremely trusting person. Equally, I'm very gullible, and I'm somebody who can get taken advantage of because of that. I tend to be a people pleaser, which is a coping mechanism. I think just having grown up being really badly bullied, also almost like a safety, it keeps me feeling safer because I can't see people. So especially if I'm out alone and people are being confrontational, I will be a people pleaser. That's how I default, because it makes me feel like I'm going to keep myself safe to de-escalate people instead of be like confrontational or reactive, even if it means I'm in the right, like even if it is standing up for myself, because I don't feel safe always. So anyways, it's an entirely different issue, but because of all of those layers of just like who I am as a person, it's hard for me to even try to call people out. Because in my head, I'm like, but maybe all of them really are disabled. There is a gym that my boyfriend and I go to almost every single day of the week. At minimum, 4 to 5 days. It is a luxury gym.
And it's a whole shopping center, so there's other things there.
Yes, it's a shopping center. It's a very small shopping center. It's an outdoor luxury mall and a luxury gym. So they've actually constructed this parking lot flawlessly. It's very great. The way that disability parking works in California is if you have a disability parking pass, you park for free. This is not the case in like paid parking lots, right? Because you have to pay to get out or to get in, depending on the structure. The way this mall has done it, and it's the only mall I've seen do it since getting my disability parking pass, is the disability spots are before the paywall. So before you take the paid ticket, you get to park. Fabulous. They've actually maintained free parking for disabled people, and on top of that, the disability parking is like exactly right in front of the entire mall and gym. And there's like, given how small the parking lot is and given how small the mall is, there's like, I think 8 disability parking spots. Like
something like that.
It's a lot of disability parking. So all of those things, like ding, 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 fabulous. They did a really great job. Now, here's what sucks, is the regular parking is behind the mall. So it's quite a walk. And it also means that you have to walk in to where all the cars are flowing in and out for pickups, for drop-offs, and to get into the main parking lot. There's a section with no sidewalk. You have to just walk straight into all of that chaos. So it's not ideal, especially as a blind person. It presents some danger. Like we've had some incidences that are like close calls, because it's just, we all know like parking lots are chaos, and it's proven that like a lot of accidents happen in parking lots. So it's not ideal. And then on top of that, because of the distance and where we live, it can get extremely hot, particularly in the summer. And Elton is a thick boy, okay? A lot of floof on that guy. And during that period, I like to limit his outdoor working exposure. It means that he isn't having to walk out in the heat during those heat waves. And for me, it means I don't have to go through the section of the parking lot where I'm walking with no sidewalk in the midst of tight traffic. That said, I recognize that I am privileged in that it is not a make it or break it for me to have disability parking. Does it make my life easier? Yes. Does it make my life safer? Yes. Is it 100% a necessity for me to be able to experience the space that I'm going to? No. I'm extremely fortunate. I am not just frustrated at this issue that I'm facing for me. I'm frustrated for my community and for the people in my community who it is an absolute necessity to have that parking and to have access to it. Now, almost every day when we go to the gym, no matter what time, all of those spots are full. But not just by any cars, by like very luxury high-end cars. Like we've seen almost $1 million cars there. Rolls-Royce, G-Wagons, Teslas are like the cheap cars we see there. Like it's wild. We're talking like minimum, the cheap cars we'll see are like a $30,000 Tesla, but we're usually seeing like up to $500,000 cars regularly. And given that 80% of disabled people in America are unemployed, the 20% that are employed, I'm struggling to think that there's like that many that are driving luxury vehicles. However, I also recognize, and this is where all the nuance comes in, that my boyfriend is driving the car. I have the disability pass, but he's driving the car. So these could be parents with disabled children. These could be family members with disabled elderly folks that live in their homes. Like there's so many other possibilities, right? Like There are wealthy disabled people who can themselves have these luxury vehicles, but equally, there are loved ones who could have luxury vehicles that have family members or what have you that they drive around. So I understand all of that. But it still feels kind of ridiculous that all of the time, almost every day, these spots are all filled when I do happen to know that people misuse these passes, right? Like, it's just like fake service dogs. You can buy fake passes online or buy people's passes, old passes online. Equally, here, at least here in Los Angeles, I know on good authority there is a black market to purchase fake disability parking badges. I literally had a very, very, very close friend of mine who was on a date with a guy who pulled out a disability parking badge, and her ex-husband legally had one. And she was like, "Oh, I didn't know you like had a disability parking pass." And he was like, "Well, it isn't like a real one." And he told her he bought it off of his friend who essentially sells them like you would sell fake IDs. And she was like appalled, got really upset with him. And he was like, "Well, I mean, like, I don't use it regularly. Like, it's just if like parking's really bad." And she's like, "Okay, so like what about the disabled people when the parking's really bad?" And he was like, "Well, it gets me free street parking because if you have a disability parking pass and you park on the street, you don't have to pay the meter." So he's like, "It's not like I'm always taking disability spots. I'm like just using it to get free parking." And she's like, "That doesn't matter. Like it's the fact that you bought it, the fact that people are selling it, and that you have the morals that allow you to buy it. That's the problem." And so on Christmas Day, like I've been feeling like this is a problem. It's been frustrating me consistently. We have, in all of the time, only ever seen one person who was visibly needing that space. Meaning we only have ever seen one person who was in a wheelchair. And we've never seen anybody else who presented as having any kind of mobility need. And I want to pull up now, I'm going to have my boyfriend read who qualifies in California, the state of California, who legally qualifies for a disability parking pass, because this is important to this conversation.
So, in California, you may qualify for a disabled person parking placard if you have one of the following. There's some bullet points here. Lost the use of one or both hands or one or more lower extremities. If you have a diagnosed disease that substantially impairs or interferes with mobility, are unable to move without the aid of an assistive device, specific documented visual problems, including lower vision or partial sightedness, respiratory conditions that require the use of portable oxygen, cardiovascular issues that severely limit mobility, neurological disorders that impair movement, orthopedic conditions that cause significant mobility challenges.
So, whilst invisible disability is very real and there's a lot of people with them, majority of the things on that list you would be able to visibly see. There are some that you wouldn't. Totally recognize that. I have a lot of friends who are amputees and like lower leg amputees where when they're wearing pants, like you really wouldn't know, right? So like I know that there are absolutely those situations. So for months, like it's been frustrating me and I've kind of been like skeptical that all of these people are parking there in like a legit way. But I've been like, I don't know. Like I can't say. Maybe it's all legit. Maybe in this area there's just that many luxury cars with people with invisible disabilities who legally obtained and are currently using legally the pass. Maybe. But then on Christmas Day, my boyfriend and I decided to go to the gym. I know that probably sounds crazy to some people, but we knew we'd be spending the day like eating copious amounts of food and sitting around doing nothing. So we were like, let's just go do a little workout before breakfast. We go to the gym and on the way we're like joking about it. And I said, watch all of the disability spots be full on Christmas Day. Well, we pull in. What do you know?
Got Mercedes GLE 53 AMG. We got Range Rover. We got Lincoln.
Oh my God.
We got Tesla. We got other Tesla. We got Mercedes 5580. We got a G-Wagon.
On Christmas morning, those are the cars in the disability parking on Christmas morning. It is completely full. How much do you want to bet there's a bunch of open space in the normal parking lot? But yet everybody on Christmas morning is disabled in their luxury vehicles. Wide open. So the ratio of who is out at this space today, what, everybody's disabled here? Everybody who has come today on Christmas morning is disabled, and all of this is free. What the... I'm sorry. I find it extremely hard to believe that on Christmas morning, when the only thing open is the gym...
Oh yeah, no other stores in that shopping center were open.
Nothing else was open. Just the gym.
And we're talking mobility aids here.
That all 8 spots were taken by real disabled people who are legally using the pass. I'm sorry. That was my breaking point. That was the point. And so many of my friends and family and loved ones have been saying to me for months, like, no, these are definitely not legit. But I've been like, but maybe they are. And that was my breaking point where I was like, you're taking the piss now. Like, what? This is not real. We went into the gym, and again, while I recognize that some of them could have invisible disabilities, I can tell you there was certainly nobody at the gym that morning with visible disabilities but me. Like, there was nobody there with a mobility aid. There was nobody there with a, like, oxygen tank. There was nobody there getting assistance. There was, like, I'm so frustrated. Like, sure, but 5 of those 8, 6, 7 of those 8 have invisible disabilities. Fine. Not, like, I'm just so... mind blown. I'm so, like, it just doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense. The math ain't mathing to me. And I want to come to you guys to be like, give me perspective, okay? Like, ground me, humble me. Maybe I'm wrong. I want to know if you guys think that this sounds legit or not, because it just doesn't seem real to me. And equally, like, the amount of times that we've pulled up and we see somebody in, because I'll be honest, we're petty. We check if people have the disability parking passes. Okay, we do look. We look in the windows. The amount that, like, we'll see somebody sitting in their car, idling, waiting to pick somebody up. No pass hanging. They're just using it as, like, a waiting spot. And this parking lot has plenty of waiting spots. There's a whole section of 15-minute free parking for pickups and drop-offs. Like...
And also, the amount of times that we see, like, a supercar, like a Lamborghini or something, pull in, like, right ahead of us. They'll pull into a spot. One person gets out of the car, a super fit, young, very...
non-visibly disabled in any
disabled,
way.
very fit, in his gym clothes, walking to the gym, parks in a disability spot. He has a disability placard, but...
There are such fancy cars that some people put a cover over their car parking in the disability parking spot. Unreal. But, like, people, like, they'll literally, like, sit there and idle, and we miss a spot. A real disabled person...
Oh, many, many times.
...will miss parking there because somebody is freaking idling for a pickup. Just the other day, we went to the grocery store across the street from this mall. We go to the grocery store, and we are just picking up a few things. There was a very close spot. I'm not going to take a disability spot when there's, like, a very close spot that I can take, you know? Like, or if it's not super, like, if there's other reasons why it doesn't make sense. But, like, for the reasons I explained at the gym, it is much easier and better for me to be able to park in those disabled spots. But at this space in particular, like, there was a spot that was very close that wasn't a disabled spot. So we swung in and picked that one. We walk by 2 cars down where there is the disability spot. There's a woman, no placard, idling and sitting in her car. We get out 15 minutes later. She is now pulling out of that spot. She never left. She idled the whole time and picked somebody up. I'm sorry, ma'am. You couldn't circle around. You couldn't park at the back, and then when they call you that they've got the stuff, you swing around. Like, why are you waiting in that spot? It's like people literally don't think disabled people exist and are out and about regularly and could show up at any time. And for me, I'm getting heated now because it really feels like entitlement. Like, disabled people won't be in these wealthy environments. We saw a $500,000 Rolls Royce take one of those disability parking spots right in front of us. The last one left, woman gets out, guess what? Didn't have a disability placard. Didn't even have one. And
the thing is and I don't know if you're about to say this, when you have a car like that, the fine is like $2,500 or something. So they don't care?
They don't care. That's what I was going to
For
say.
one, they're not getting fined, and two, if they do, they're too rich to care.
They're too rich to care. It's like this idea that like, and that's why it's frustrating to me that I'm seeing it the most at these wealthy spaces, because it feels exclusionary. It feels like they don't expect disabled people to be there, or like we don't deserve to be in those environments. And equally, it feels like this entitlement of like, I'm wealthy, I can buy my way out of anything. And it's so selfish and entitled to think that your convenience, your ease, is greater than a disabled person's potentially only access to that environment. And disabled people have a hard enough time on a daily basis. Best believe me being at that gym is harder than anybody else working out at that gym. None of the equipment has braille on it. None of the equipment, like all of it has touch screens. None of it has screen readers. Like I need help from my partner at almost every single machine I go to.
Accessing the lockers is impossible.
Accessing the lockers at my gym is impossible because it has visual codes that you have to type in. Like, there are constantly issues that I face just accessing working out. And so the fact that then accessing getting into the gym is made harder by these entitled people who, while some of them may be disabled, I'm again struggling to believe all of them are. And
what's the
it's
word?
like, I don't want to be ableist to my own community, and that's why I'm struggling with this. Is like, I don't want to be the ableist a-hole who's like, these people aren't disabled, because real disabled people face that. Real disabled people have people knocking on their cars and accosting them all the time, being like, you don't deserve to park there, because they're young and they look non-disabled.
I think the difference, though, is that all of these things that we looked up that require the placard are things you could visually tell.
No, not true. Say like Crohn's disease, you could get a placard for.
No, it mentions respiratory, cardiovascular, neurological, orthopedic.
Okay, I just know somebody with Crohn's disease in LA. So I know somebody, I know doctors are giving them
Doctors
out,
are giving
which
it,
is
yeah.
probably another issue, is like doctors are giving them out too easily.
I mean, someone probably sprains their ankle and they get one, you know?
That's the thing. People get temporary passes. By the way, with Crohn's disease, I do think that's fair. Like, so if you're having an urgent flare up and you need to quickly get to a bathroom, like that isn't a totally legit reason. So even these reasons of like who deserves to get one, I do think there should be nuance, right? Because Crohn's is an invisible disability. You would not see it. It could happen to anybody at any age. And if you're in a flare and it's urgent, like you do deserve to be able to park and quickly get access to a facility. So I'm not trying to like gatekeep disability parking passes, but what I am trying to say is there should be more scrutiny behind who gets them from doctors. There should be more scrutiny with like police officers or parking attendants, like keeping an eye on these things and getting on top of towing or giving tickets. And there should be like more empathy and freaking kindness when using them. If you either have it legitimately, but are like, you know what, I don't actually need to use it in this moment, then you shouldn't. And equally, you shouldn't be using it if the person that, like my boyfriend, I know wholeheartedly would never in a million years use it if I wasn't in the car with him. Never in a million years. I feel confident in that. And I just can't help but feel that a lot of the people using these passes either have fake ones, got them 5 years ago for a broken ankle that's since healed and are still using it because it's convenient, or are misusing a legit one. I don't know. I honestly don't know what to do about it at this point. Like, I kind of want to bring like the video that we have from Christmas Day to the mall security or to the head of the mall and be like, but even them, like, if all of those people have passes hanging, whether they're real or not, like can people tell? Like, how do we crack down on this? Realistically, the answer ultimately comes down to the same thing as fake service dogs. Mm-hmm. It's the fact that people need to be less freaking selfish and think of others, particularly an oppressed minority community who already has enough struggle on a daily basis. And I mean, I've seen like videos. There was this video on TikTok. This is so insane, where this person said that disability parking spots should no longer be disability parking spots like after a certain time of day. Mm-hmm. As if like disabled people don't go out after 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Or after 10 p.m. We are normal people. We exist in all spaces, in all tax brackets. We have equal rights to be in these spaces. And it's frustrating when people are removing our access to them. On Christmas Day, I was still able to park in the back and get to the gym. but other people in my community wouldn't have been able to. And that's not fair. And it's hard because I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here. I feel like I'm within my own echo chamber. You know, it's like I know so many of you are watch me and follow me because you're either in the community or you care about the community already. And I don't know how to get this message to the people who don't. But yeah, that's really like all I want to say on the matter. You can tell it frustrates me and I'm heated. And yet I'm still like doubting myself and being like, maybe you're being ableist, maybe you're being too judgmental. Let me know. I would also love if you're open to it and feel comfortable. Like if you have a disability placard, I would love to know like why you have it and when and why you use it, especially if you do have an invisible disability. Because I do want to raise awareness for the fact that you cannot always tell when somebody parks there that they do need it. And that's why I've been so self-aware of that this whole time. But it just seems weird that in over 6 months, we've only ever seen one person who actually seemed to need it. And guess what? They were driving a normal car.
Yeah.
Like ours. We drive a very humble car. You drive we have a humble car. And we are always the only one there. And this person who's in a wheelchair had a very humble car. Very average, everyday car. It's frustrating.
Yep.
All right. That's that. Give me your perspective down below. I'd love to hear it. Thank you so much for sticking with me for another video. If you want to hear another Molly rambles about fake service dogs, you can check this video out. Or if you want to, I don't know, watch another video I recently made, you can click over here. Bye.